We sold that many years ago. I'm sure he's out there because we see him. If I could have your attention, please, if you're willing and able, would you think about standing for the invocation? Remain standing for the flag, and I would like to present to you the Reverend Pastor Chris Vaughn for the invocation. I take it he's missing. So bow our heads, please. Dear Lord, we meet here to serve our community tonight, to use all of our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibilities from the past and to the future. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the Henry County Board of Commissioners, 6:30 p.m. meeting, June the 21st, 2016, come to order. I would like to entertain to the board that we consider several items on the agenda that was published. I would like to y'all to consider two amendments. The first one is appointment to the Tax Assessors Board, and I would like to put that at 9B on the agenda. Also, a resolution to approve Phase 2 to the airport improvements, and I would like to put that under 14B. And I would also like to board to remove under item 11 Item 11B, resolution approving the purchase of a 2016 Ford. And also C is a resolution approving the purchase. I understand they need to do some more work on them too. So if somebody would approve the agenda as amended, I'll open the floor.
So move.
Have a motion? District 1, second, District 3. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Next, we're going to recognize the 2016 Golden Shield Honor Awards recipients. Presenter is Chief Nichols, Henry County Police Department. Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. How y'all doing?
So far, so good. Today's early, though.
Your Honors, the Henry County Police Department has been a participant in the Governor's Office of Highway Safety Heat Unit program since its inception in 2001. The statewide heat goal is to combat deaths and injuries from impaired driving crashes and excessive speeding by increasing the use of safety belts while educating the public about traffic safety and the dangers of DUI. The Henry County Heat Unit has used the Governor's Office of Highway Safety grant to develop and implement strategies to reduce local highway crashes, injuries, and fatalities. Over the last 5 years, Henry County has averaged 636 DUI arrests per year. From 2014 to 2015, DUI arrests have increased by 5.5%. This was the first increase since 2011. Henry County has unfortunately averaged 26 fatalities per year over the last 5 years. 15% of these fatality accidents involve alcohol and drug impairment. It is estimated that across our country, impaired drivers kill a victim every 30 minutes. Recently, the Henry County Police Department had 9 officers recognized at the 2016 Golden Shield Honor Awards hosted by MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, at the Cobb Galleria Center. At this event, the Henry County Police Department was recognized along with other participating agencies in the state for their tireless DUI enforcement efforts. Individual officers were given certificates of resignation and awards for their individual efforts in the enforcement of DUI laws in the state of Georgia and in Henry County. The Henry County Heat Unit, who you see, this is Sergeant Cumby and officers here, they were given certificates of recognition and awards for their individual efforts in the enforcement of DUI laws in the state of Georgia and Henry County. The Henry County Heat Unit was named Heat Unit of the Year, DUI Task Force Unit of the Year for the state of Georgia, and the Henry County Police Department was also named Agency of the Year. The Henry County Heat Unit falls under the supervision of Captain Chuck Simmons, Lieutenant Howard Waddell, and Sergeant Scott Cumby. And I'm going to name the following officers who were awarded during the Golden Shield, and I believe the Deputy Chief's going to hand them their awards. To my left, far left, is Officer Jason Jones. He was awarded the Gold Pin and had 153 arrests. It's an awesome job. In the middle, we have Officer Matt Palmer. He was awarded the Silver Pin for 73 arrests. Great job, Matt. And to my left is Officer Kelly Horn. He was awarded the Silver Pin with 52 arrests. Great job, man. Other officers involved was Officer Matthew Davis, who couldn't be here with us tonight. He was awarded a Bronze Pin with 25 arrests. Officer Tyler Stone, a Bronze Pin with 42 arrests. Officer Zachary Campbell, a Bronze Pin with 30 arrests. Officer Kenneth Palmer, a Bronze Pin with 26 arrests. Officer Timothy Williams, a Silver Pin with 52 arrests. And Officer Robert Ledford, a Bronze Pin with 37 arrests, for a grand total of 490 arrests. Thank you, officers. Appreciate it. Sergeant Cumby, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yes, sir. Each year we participate in the Mad Golden Shield Banquet. The officers were awarded their pins. These are statewide officers. These aren't just Henry County Metro. This is all across the state. We were able to win DUI Agency Hero. That's the most DUIs for an agency your size across the state. We've got the Department of the Year. That's just not the Heat Unit. That's everybody's helping us out. The road officers, the SOD officers, the command staff giving us the overtime to be able to do stuff, so on, so on. And we also won Heat Unit of the Year. That's only awarded to one Heat Unit in its entire state, or DUI Task Force entire state. So these awards aren't just local. They're for the entire state of Georgia.
Thank you. We want to get a picture? Yes.
Let's take those instead.
Public comment, citizens are allowed to voice county-related concerns, opinions, etc. that are not listed on the agenda during this portion of the meeting. All persons who wish to speak for public comment must sign in with the county clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. You must complete the public comment speaker form or you will not be recognized. You will be able to address the board for 5 minutes. Each person who addresses the board shall not make personal, impertinent, slanderous, or profane remarks to any member of this board, staff, or general public. Any person who makes such remarks or who utters loudly threatening, personal, or abusive language or engages in any other disorderly conduct which disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of any board meeting shall, at the discretion of the chair or the majority of the members, be barred from further audience before the board during the meeting. First on the list, I'm going to recognize Mr. Steve Richardson. If you would approach the bench and give your name, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Steve Richardson, 207 Wind Drive. Appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. Before I get started about the fire chiefs I want to talk about, I appreciate these officers. I was just wondering, we're short 120 plus officers. What could we do out there if we were fully staffed and these guys weren't having to work overtime or be short on their shifts? So, that's just something to keep in mind as we move forward with these budgets and stuff. But the real reason I'm here tonight is obviously ORR'd the fire chief situation. And in looking to the records, it doesn't really look like we followed. I don't even know when we had a committee with the ratings and stuff, and then we just do whatever we're going to do. But my issue is particularly in 7 months, we're going to open those reversible lanes. And for those of you that aren't involved in it, it's very intricate stuff out there. There's no access to the hospital. So there wasn't a whole lot of thought process put into this from the get-go, but it is what it is, and we got to deal with it. So basically, if somebody gets hurt or injured, they're either going to Spalding, you had a Spalding if you're going southbound, or if you're going north, you're either going to Grady, AMC, or to Southern Regional, if Southern Regional can stay open. I know they've had their issues here lately. But the point is we've gone and we've hired this lady who has no medic experience, per se, opposed to a guy that's been here for 28 years, who's fully trained, knows where all of our stations are, knows where all the access points are, knows how to command this county. And we go to Atlanta and we hire somebody, and then we're going to pay her $105,000 a year, which is more than your own police chief's making, who's been here 25 years. So there's a lot of questions here, and I just don't understand why we as a county are doing this, because we're setting ourselves back. Public safety should be number one. There's a lot of people in here, and I promise you, there's trained versus human today. I was out there on that. Guys, this is life and death out there. Just in the last month alone, we've worked several major truck wrecks with people who were pinned up on their trucks. And it's only going to get worse, especially with that 13-mile drag strip they're building out there called a reversible lane, managed lane. So it would seem to me, from a public safety side, that we would want somebody that's familiar with this county, familiar with the guys on the squads, familiar with rescues, and knows how to make this deal happen, because there's going to be a lot of counterflow in the interstates, a lot of moving people to the side just to get in them things, because there's only 3 trap doors, and they're only so wide, and a fire apparatus is very hard to get in there, and if you have to bring a heavy wrecker in, they're even longer. So this whole thing is quite a mess. So I don't know what the policy is or procedure or how do you fix this, but we need to really reconsider what we're doing here, because the leadership in this county has been here for years, and we really need that leadership to get us through the next activities that are coming. And I certainly don't understand why we're hiring somebody right out the rip and giving them $105,000 a year. If that's what the position pays, I'm sure there's a lot of people here that don't make $100,000 a year. Love to be a fire chief, just saying. But another concern I have is through the grapevine. Obviously, I do a lot of work in Atlanta with public service and all. Is there something called the 102 crew that she brings with her? With that 102 crew, what she does is she brings in her own deputy chiefs and her own head or her own command situation. So if that's the case, now we've gone and hired somebody who we've given the reins to, who's going to bring in her own crew, who has no carnal knowledge of anything going on out here. So I would just implore that we really step back and look at the public safety situation we got going on. We're opening 3 more fire stations. That's going to take a lot resources and a lot of people. And I just think we need to stick with the homegrown guys that have been here 28 years. You know, certainly maybe Brad Johnson's not the guy if you want to mention his name, but if he wasn't good enough to be here the fire chief, then why do we keep him for 28 years? You know, if he's this horrible guy or whatever, then maybe he should have been gone 26, 7 years ago. But if he's everything these documents say he is, I don't understand why he's not fire chief. And I don't want to sit here and burn everybody's time because it looks like we've got a full house. But if anybody can answer that, I'd be glad to listen. Well, Mr. Preston, I appreciate your service, and I appreciate you wanting to stick around. District 2's been through a lot the last 18 years, so I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate your numbers and trying to help everybody along. And I understand why you're leaving, and family comes first. And, you know, just pray for you and your family, brother.
Mr. Carl Swenson. State your name for the record, please.
My name is Carl Swenson. I reside at 43 Thurman Road in Stockbridge, Georgia, the unincorporated part.
Ed, can you make mine clear, please?
Yeah. That helps. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Of course, up here we have the actual power structure of the county, and as you can see, the citizens represent the top tier. You guys represent something under them. You are our public servants and are expected to act as such. We have a situation right now where one of you, Mr. John Preston over here, is no longer living in Henry County, and there are plenty of things to show that he is not, especially the MLS listing on his house in Locust Grove. But as such, I don't know why he's on the commission voting at all. He should not be if he doesn't live here. He does, in fact, live in Franklin, Tennessee. So you guys have known this, but still you allow him to vote. And as a matter of fact, he's been a spearhead for some rather dastardly things, not the least of which was the freedom of speech violations that you guys were willing to consider here a little over a month ago. But that's only part of why I'm here. You're dealing with, right now, tonight you're going to deal with the Henry First situation. I want to show you how Henry First, let's see if we can move it around this way. Kind of tough to see, but Henry First is a corporation that was established back in the tenure of B.J. Mathis. And the absolute purpose for this is still a little uncertain, but it seemed to be able to generate monies that were going to nonprofits. One of those nonprofits was supposedly the Germanium Festival. I don't know if it was a nonprofit or not, but I guess it must have been, because that's in the articles, excuse me, the rules and regulations for the corporation. But it shows here that you have a balance that prior to this year you never maintained. Generally there was a balance maintained of around 8 or 10,000, give or take. This was for the month of February. This is for the month of March, and the final one is for the month of April. Now, why these are important? First off, we have a whole host of deposits and credits to this corporation that were made online. We have no earthly idea where those things came from, who put that money in there, and how or why. But this is going to be my open records request tonight, Stephanie, to get this information as soon as possible, because we need to know where this money came from. As of March 31st, the officers, as you can see, Mr. Smith, you were there. Ms. Braun, you were there. Fred Aletta was there. And these were the ones charged with the fiduciary responsibility of maintaining this corporation. Now, it was made available to you to look into this many months back, and so what do? You vacated. Like I said before, good job. The only problem is that the next batch of commissioners coming in are going to be facing the same thing that you guys have faced, whether you knew it or not. You told me, Mr. Smith, that you did not know about these corporations. You did not know about the Henry Park Industrial Park Corporation or Governmental Finance Corporation, some of the biggies. You also told me that you couldn't get off of the Governmental Finance Corporation, even though you didn't know you were on them. And I'm here to say that those corporations should be shut down, and they should be shut down immediately, because there's nothing that they do that you cannot do as the elected. Now, I have several checks here. You'll notice the date on these checks is April 28th. Now, this is a month after everybody had vacated from this board. That's kind of interesting, because if you vacated, how can anybody write checks? I think it's a good question that somebody should answer, because there was not just this one, there was this one, and this one. Now, disbursements from this account are supposed to be for nonprofits. 2 of these checks are for companies that are profit corporations. Now, I understand that they are for signage and for whatever it's involved in this arrangement with the wheelchair Special Olympics. I understand that. But somebody has to be on a board. Somebody has to have the authority, the responsibility to write these checks. And if you vacated, you don't have it.
Mr. Larry Morey.
My name is Larry Morey, and I reside at 418 Dorchester and Locust Grove. 3 things I want to mention tonight. And one, I had asked for something to be done about roads, and I've been all over the county this weekend about the cracks in the roads and the holes in the roads, and I'm sure y'all are aware of it. They have a laser that takes asphalt and it goes down one side of the road, and it covers all the cracks and stops water infiltration. And we got them all over the county. And I've said this one time before, you can keep waiting, and all it's doing is ruining our roads. When that water gets down in there, the asphalt starts coming up in major proportions. So keep your head in the sand, and it'll continue to get worse. The second thing is, I've heard, I don't know this for a fact, but I've heard there's going to be some apartments put on Jonesboro Road, Section 8 apartments. I hope that don't happen. I hope y'all will not let that happen. The third thing is, I'm sure all of you got letters to the effect of our opinion on a certain commissioner not being allowed to serve tonight forward. And it appears that nobody has taken that serious. So we will move forward Monday morning, and we'll let the facts go where they may. But it is kind of interesting. Right here is the phone records. from Franklin, Tennessee to Henry County. And it's amazing to me how you gentlemen can stand up there and let this continue to go on without making a stand. That only means one thing, that you're not looking out after the best interest of Henry County. And if you say so, then the facts are going to be proven otherwise. But we'll address that in court. The third thing, I hope you first responders understand that that election, when you got those raises, was all about an election. So now you're seeing the truth. To hire a lady and pay the exorbitant amount, and I went for a month before the election, I went through these schedules. We are fixing these schedules so we'll know how to keep and retain our employees and elevate them so if they work here 20 years, they know what they're going to get. Well, it don't work that way. And that's a shame. It's a stain on the leadership of Henry County that you've had a man serving all these years supposedly satisfying everybody with promotions, but he's not good enough to be the head. So we go and hire somebody else, half as qualified as he's supposed to be. So you first responders, you knew better than to take that word. You knew better. And shame on you for accepting that. Because it was all politics when you make a statement that you're going to do all this a week before the election. I hope when we get through with this next round that the example is set, that leadership comes from honesty and integrity and character. Thank y'all. You ain't got to look at that. I'll go 3 minutes.
Thank you. I think I got it working now. Murray? Mr. Murray?
My name's Oliver Murray. I live at 964 Racetrack Road in McDonough. And I have a house where my son used to live at 820 Racetrack Road in McDonough. I also have a house next door to that at 752 Racetrack Road. These houses back up to a facility that's known as Shining Light Ministries. That organization operates at 772 and 782 Racetrack Road. And the purpose of my coming up here tonight is to just make a couple of comments about this matter that will be coming before you, I think, in November, where they're requesting some zoning changes and an amendment to the future land use map, as well as some variances for use of the property. All of these I object to at this point, and many neighbors in this residential community also object to it. The history of this organization is that it bought this property at 772 in 2009, shortly after it had been granted some variances for use in the residential area to permit it to operate what was then called a care facility. It was promised at that time, and the variance is granted on the condition that this would not change the neighborhood because it was going to be equivalent to a single-family residence as it was being used, with 5 to 8 women being assisted in their recovery from addiction. The mission is valid and the mission is good. I was approached at that time as to whether I would object to putting such a facility into this residential community, and I exercised my judgment to not object to it on the basis that it was going to be no major change to the residential area. Unbeknownst to me, subsequently to that, the organization acquired 782 and expanded its operations in violation of the zoning, the conditional use, and the land use map. So this acquisition was made in 2010, I believe it was. Toward the end of 2010, and then toward the end of 2012, it applied for a conditional use variance to that address, and it was not followed through. It was withdrawn. Why, we don't know. But I understand from the Zoning Appeals Board that a so-called administrative variance was granted at that time. The problem is, had they come forth in 2008 saying they wanted to drop a business operation into the middle of this residential community, we would have had substantial objection to that taking place. They have come in and changed the use without authorization. Now, I understand that they could argue that they were led into that change by the Zoning Appeals Board not requiring notice to the residences and hearings and so forth that are normally required for variances. Nevertheless, they are in violation. Now, I was a lawyer when I was a youngster, and I wasn't a litigating lawyer, but I do remember in law school taking a course in equity, and one of the principles in that is if you come into the courtroom seeking equity, you must come in with clean hands. This organization has not done that. It has changed the method that it was using to operate. It has violated the use that was given to it, and now it's seeking approval to continue that and expand that by actually making substantial changes that are going to create risks to the community, safety risks, as well as the change in the nature of the community. Thank you for listening, and I just give you that heads up for what's coming in November.
Thank you.
Did you say it was 782 was the second parcel?
I'm sorry?
Did you say it was 782?
Yes, 782 is their second house that they bought, and they bought that without any changes requested,
Okay,
and operated for a year before they then submitted this change request.
okay. I'm going to look into that. I'm going to look into the CUP, the conditional
Okay.
use permit on that.
Thank you.
Ms. Kimberly Del Rosario.
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Del Rosario, and I reside at 722 Racetrack Road. And I'm here also tonight to speak about Shining Light Ministry. They've been in Henry County since 2001 with no county permit whatsoever. But I found out that it was odd that in 2007, they have a state of Georgia license. The person that applied for this license is a Mr. Fred Zimmerman, who resides at Woodruff Street in McDonough, and it's a standard business license. What they're maintaining behind our property, and we actually reside behind their properties back up to the back of our property, they are doing drug, alcohol, narcotics treatment, which they're not licensed to. I should know. I know it by the back of my hand in the laws. But did some wonderful research through the state of Georgia this week and looked at some of the variances and some of the titles of being a drug treatment facility and what the codes are and what the uses are. They're not for residential or agriculture communities. Also went ahead and did a little further digging. The rules and regulations for narcotic treatment facilities. Just to show you, that one's 30 pages. The one before was 27. And I'll start by saying that in here it says you have to have medical. You have to have a clinical director, a medical director, an administrator, which does not live on the property, clinical staff, and a governing body, which they have proved to us they have none. Then I went a little further and wanted to know the rules and regulations for drug abuse treatment in education centers. Wow, this one was 39 pages. And when you go to read through it, it basically tells you the same thing, that in order to run any type of detoxification program, you have to have a medical management team on site. That has not ever happened. Behavior management doesn't happen. There's not anybody there full time. Drug abuse treatment cannot be given in a RA Ag. It has to be given in an office and institutional treatment. So I'd like to ask you, why as of 2001, in the wonderful place of Hampton, we can allow somebody to run this treatment program, and then in 2009, moved to McDonough, we've never required a license. Every time we've called and complained, Mr. Weems at Code Enforcement can't do anything about it because he says, you guys have his hands tied. Mr. Stacy was nice enough to meet with us this week and explain a few things to us. The variances, there's not enough in those variances to make a difference. We need to step up as a county. You guys need to step up as a board and realize you wouldn't live behind it. Why should we have to? We're trying to make a change for one person. We have a community. You're asking them to go institutional, but yet I bought my property for residential and agriculture because I wanted to leave a farm for my daughter. I don't get it, I don't understand it, and I don't think it's right. I've got plenty of more literature, probably about 900 and something pages that I have printed out, saying what is wrong. We need to step up, we need to be a community, and we need to close it down. It doesn't have a business, it doesn't have a reason for this business to be anywhere near our properties. If she's got support, we're glad for her. We're not against her, we're against where it's at and what they're doing. And then my last thing, Mr. Preston, I've heard some very negative things about you tonight. I want to thank you for your service when I lived in District 2. You were wonderful, and I wish all the best for you and your family, and God bless you.
Thank you. Ms. Paris? We got a good picture of it.
Hello, my name is Monique Paris, and I reside next door to Shining Light Ministries. This is my daughter. She's 3. We're talking about a drug rehabilitation center next door to where a 3-year-old lives and plays. There's nothing that anybody can say to reassure me that she won't pick up a needle, a crack pipe, paraphernalia, or anything else. because we don't know. You're talking about a drug treatment center, which is also going to bring in the element of crime and uprise the gang. So how do we know now that we won't have a shooting come down our street with a 3-year-old next door and a teenager behind? We don't know. We don't know where these women are gonna run. We don't know when they're upset. We don't even know if they have nothing to do with children or child molestation, because none of that is ever presented to the neighbors for anybody to know what's going on. We don't even know who these people are. I happen to sometimes get to know who they are when they're taking the trash up, because they want to have a conversation, and they feel like I should know who they are. But they've never been introduced to us by Teresa. People come down this street and they speed like there is no tomorrow, even though there's a speed limit of 15 miles per hour. They come down that street hauling, going 60. They've almost hit the back of my car numerous times. But they don't think about the fact that there's a child who needs to be protected. Why should she be put to see this and to view this? It's not right. They need to find another space, another area, and another place where they can do this that's not near children and innocent people who don't want this. I'm terrified for her to go outside because you never know who's coming down the street flying. So we don't go outside because it's a scary situation that you don't know what's gonna happen from day to day or moment to moment. And now for them to talk about making this into a drug center, anybody can come down there. There's only 3 houses down there. You wouldn't even know where it is unless you're coming down there to visit somebody. We chose this place because it was supposed to be our little heaven, our little getaway. But now home isn't home. Home has become hell because you don't know what's gonna happen from day to day or what disruptive thing is going to take place or anything. So I'm just asking you to think about the aspect of there's children and there's people's homes here. There's nowhere for them to even make it a 2-way lane or to widen it for it to work. It just needs to be somewhere else. I don't think anybody would want to open their door and live next door to this. I don't see her saying, yeah, I'll move them next door to me. So just think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pierre?
Good evening, and thank you for giving me time to speak. My name is Michelle Paris Pierre, and I live at 762 Racetrack Road. Monique is my daughter, and the little girl Joy is my granddaughter. We all live together. As she said, we live next door to Shining Light Ministries. And I'm going to show you this picture here. When I say next door, I mean physically, literally, next door. If you look at this picture, which way is it going to be for you? Oh, here it is. Okay. This is my car. This is my driveway. If you see here, I've had to put all of these signs out here because my husband and I came here from Miami in 2008. When we came here in August. From August to October, from 8 to 5, Monday to Sunday, we went to every house that was available in between $100,000 and $220,000 looking for the perfect spot. We found this house that we thought was our perfect spot. I still think it's my perfect spot. It's trying to get changed into something else, but it is my perfect spot. I paid cash for this house. So when I moved here, I vested from the time that I arrived in Henry County with intentions of staying here as a tax-paying, law-abiding citizen. What is happening here is my husband died in April of 2013. Instead of Shining Light coming as a ministry and extending condolences, they started untying my dogs and calling animal control. They went from there to calling code enforcement, complaining about anything they could, into parking on my property, blocking my driveway, inviting other people to come and park on my property in an effort to harass me, to force me to move. Who would want to come home or come outside and see a car pulled up on side of your house and you're home alone? That's pretty scary. Now, they're talking about putting a drug and alcohol treatment center. This is what they're talking about. This is their proposed picture of what they want to do. This here is the original house, up to my finger, to the left. This is what they're talking about adding on. You're talking about a one-lane easement road that has been very quiet, very serene. It's already been expanded when they took on that second house, increasing the traffic, increasing the noise. These ladies are outside all times of the day or night. Now they're talking about putting a drug and alcohol treatment center next door to my house, less than 35 feet from my property line. I don't think there's a person in here who could stand up and say, including any of you, and if I'm wrong, please stand up and prove me wrong, that you'd want that next door to you. I didn't come here and pay cash for a house to have a drug and alcohol treatment center next to me. To retrofit Racetrack Road in order to accommodate this is not a good idea, it's not a safe idea. When you talk about the safety, let me show you the driveway. This driveway is probably the most dangerous area in Henry County when I talk about the roads. This road, when you look to the right, coming out of our driveway, this is what you see. Looking to the left, this is what you see. This house started out being an 8-person house, an 8-bed house. They're talking about expanding 772 to a 28-bed house. 782 was 8 beds. It has been expanded by 14 beds. They play with the numbers when they deal with the department, but the reality is, it's still over 40 people down this road, where it was originally just for 3 homes. Yes.
Is this drive going back to the house behind you? Is that what I'm understanding where the rehab is?
Excuse me?
The driveway, I see the road, and I've got the driveway here. Is that driveway going back to the other house?
No, that's going to our houses.
Okay.
It's one lane road that goes down a quarter mile, and it opens up to 3 houses down there, which is 772, which is mine.
Right.
772 and 782, which is Shining Light Ministries homes.
10-4.
Now, mind you, these houses have been operating without business licenses of any sort. They have not been allowed to operate. Their conditional use didn't allow for them to have drug and alcohol treatment, which they have been doing, and they are not supposed to be used as an alternative to jail, which they have been. They have been a lockdown facility from inception. Never has anyone lived in this property as they represented to the county that a pastor and his wife would be living there. Never has that been the case.
What district are you in?
I'm in District 2.
2, okay.
I'm sorry, I'm in District 1 with Mr. Moss. Okay. Thank you again for giving me the time to speak, and I hope you all give this some serious consideration, because when you consider the criminal element, the gangs that we already have a little bit further down the street, by opening a drug and alcohol treatment center in the middle of this community and next door, you're moving the criminal element down the road. It's moving with this situation, especially when you expand to this size. And I certainly hope you all give this some serious consideration and help these people realize they just need to move to a more conducive environment and not in the middle of a neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Request to address the board. Commissioners, Mr. Bill Toney, you have 15 minutes. Approach the podium. You'll have 15 minutes. I announce again, Mr. Bill Toney has requested to meet or to make a presentation to the board. Second and final call. Consent agenda. The following items, agenda items shall be considered on the consent agenda. Before voting on the consent agenda, the chairman will provide opportunity to add or delete any items. The court system. Resolutions requesting acceptance of grants from the Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Coordination Council for fiscal year 2017 and approval of expenditures in drug abuse treatment and educational date funds. Juvenile court, DUI drug court, adult felony drug court, resource court. Senior services, a resolution authorizing execution of a aging sub-grant contract with the Atlanta Regional Commissioner for fiscal year 2017. Community development, CDBG program, resolution approving collaboration with the Housing Authority of the City of McDonough for the preparation of joint assessment of fair housing. Transit, resolution accepting fiscal year 2017 Department of Human Services Coordinated Transportation Grant and Technical Proposal. Henry County Probation Department, resolution approving agreement between Centel Fence Services LLC and the Henry County Probation Department for CentTrack software services. That ends the consent. Does anybody want to add to, delete any of that? If not, if somebody move, we approve the consent agenda resolutions as read.
Move to approve.
Have a motion, District 3.
Second.
Second, District 4. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. State Court, resolution to amend the FY 2015-2016 budget, 9th Amendment regarding State Court professional accounting. The Honorable Ernest D. Blunt. All rise. No, I was kidding. I was kidding. You're right to rise.
This is an amendment to the budget to allow transfer of funds to pay for certain expenses, including court-appointed counsel and other expenses by the state court.
Anybody have any questions or comments? I got a resolution before you. If somebody move that we approve the resolution as published.
So moved.
Have a motion, District 5.
Second.
Second, District 4. Any further discussions? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign, so moved. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next, we have Board of Assessment appointment. We have a vacancy. We just added one on here. A resolution of the Henry County Board of Commissioners appointing one member to the Henry County Board of Assessors due to the expiring term of Leah Preston Fricky. If somebody agrees with this, make a motion to do that. We have a motion, District 4, to approve the resolution.
Second.
Have a second, District 5. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. So moved. Resolution approving a work order quote from Brown and Root Industrial Services for design services to enclose the adjacent T. Harper Arena, Heritage Park, Georgia. Mr. Burkhalter, good evening.
Good evening, Chairman.
It's your time.
Board, thank you. In November 2013, the voters of Henry County approved the SPLOST 4 referendum, which included the funds for improvements to the Jason T. Harper Arena. The SPLOST department consulted with the Gordian Group, which is the facilitator for the NJPA EZ IQ contract, and Brown and Root Industries to develop the scope of work for design services to enclose the open-air arena. The work order is attached to the resolution. The scope of work includes the following engineering disciplines. It's the architectural work to the exterior of the building, civil structural, mechanical, which would be the conditioning of the air in the building, and the electrical for the enclosure of the building. SPLOST Department is requesting authorization to use budgeted SPLOST 4 funds for the design services to enclose the Jason T. Harper Arena at Heritage Park in McDonough, utilizing the NJPA EZ IQC contract in the amount of $75,889.97. If anyone has any questions?
Anybody got any questions or comments? If not, we have a resolution to book, resolution Henry County Board of Commissioners approving the work order quote. Somebody want to move in that direction?
Move to approve.
Have a motion from District 3,
Second.
second from District 5. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. So moved. Resolution approving the budget amendment and work order quote for Brown and Root Industrial Services for plumbing renovation in Pod A at the Henry County Jail using Splosh 4 funds.
Yes, sir. The voters of Henry County approved the SPLOST 4 referendum, which included funds for the renovation at the Henry County Jail. There's a need to complete plumbing renovations in Pod A of the Henry County Jail. Plumbing renovations had been completed in Pod B through resolution number 16-32. The SPLOST department consulted with the Gordian Group, again, the facilitator of the NJPA Easy IQ contract and Brown and Root Industries, to develop the scope of work for plumbing renovations in Pod A. The work order is also attached to the resolution. The scope of work includes replacing 20 floor drains, 25 flush valves, adding 4 new floor drains and 200 isolation valves, and also applying epoxy wall coatings to 16 showers and the restroom areas. The SPLOST department is requesting authorization to use budgeted SPLOST 4 funds to complete the plumbing renovations in Pod A at the Henry County Jail in the amount of $241,207.30.
Anybody have any questions or comment? Yes, sir. I yield for District 4.
Ron, do we have a construction timeline on this? How long it's going to take? How long that pod's going to be down?
Commissioner, to answer your question, the renovations have already been done in Pod B, and that renovation was approximately 6 weeks. This is less. Right now, the schedule shows them 4 weeks to do the renovations in the Pod A. Okay. Again, there's less renovations here than we did in the original pod. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Ron, are they going to be any additional pods that going to have this same plumbing work, or is this it?
Commissioner, Pod A and B were the pods identified in SPLOST. Okay, they're the oldest pods at the jail, and these will be the last 2 pods that have renovations done to them.
Any further questions or comments? If not, we have a resolution in the book. Somebody move in that direction.
Move to approve.
Have a motion from District 4. Second from District 5. He raised his hand first. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. So moved. Resolution approved the purchase of sport field lighting for Fairview Community Park in Ellenwood, Georgia, using budgeted SPLOST Fund 4 funds.
Yes, sir. The voters of Henry County approved the SPLOST 4 referendum, which included funds for a new park in District 5. Fairview Community Park is currently under construction. There's a need to furnish sports field lighting at the 2 multi-purpose fields located within the park. Musco Lighting LLC has provided a quote of $269,000 to furnish and install sports field lighting. The scope of work for this includes 6 poles, 8 light fixtures, 2 LED security lights, and all the associated hardware, wiring that's required for the turnkey project. SPLOST department is requesting authorization to use budgeted SPLOST 4 funds to purchase the sports field lighting for the Fairview Community Park, utilizing the NJPA contract in the amount of $269,000.
Anybody have any comments or questions? If not, somebody move that we approve the resolution as read.
Yeah, before I move to approve, I just want to say, Ron, this is turning out to be a great asset for the county. I went up there today, and they're moving along quite well. So I want to say congratulations, and thank you for all your great work. And with that, I'll say move to approve.
Second from District 2. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. So moved. Thank you.
Thank you,
Resolution awarding a
Commissioners.
bid for cement stabilized base reclamation, construction, and resurfacing on various county roads. Rocky, good evening.
Good evening, Chairman and board members. Seal bids were solicited through the purchasing department per bid number 16-57 for a project to improve various county roads using the method of cement stabilized base reclamation, construction, and resurfacing. 4 seal bids were received and reviewed. E.R. Snell, Inc. provided the low bid of $8,699,492.49. There are 15 roads slated for resurfacing, of which 13 will also include the cement stabilized base reclamation, or FDR for full depth reclamation. It's another name for it. 10 roads are funded through the SPLOST 4 funds, and 5 roads are funded through the Local Maintenance Improvement Grant, or LMIG. The following roads are funded through the SPLOST. For District 1, Sandy Ridge. For District 2, Lower Wolseley, Simpson Mill Road. For District 3, East Lake Road and Jodico Road, which is also shared with District 4. Airline Road. For District 4, again, East Lake and Jodico Road. For District 5, Rex Road. Fairview Road, Orchard Road, and Panola Road. The following roads are funded through the Local Maintenance Improvement Grant. District 1, Indian Creek. District 2, Chambers Road. District 3, Foster Drive. District 4, Peach Drive, and District 5, Flat Rock Road. $6,005,489.79 is the SPLOST 4 total for 10 roads. $2,694,002.70 is the LMIG total for 5 roads. Funding for the SPLOST road is available within the respective district resurfacing, widening, or surface treatment projects account. Funding for the LMIG roads is available within the Henry County DOT LMIG funds account. Staff recommends approval of the award of bid 16-57 for cement stabilized base reclamation, construction, and resurfacing to the low bidder, E.R. Snell, Inc., in the amount of the $8,699,492.49.
Anybody have any comments or questions? Okay, I yield the floor to District 3.
Rocky, what is the total miles are we getting resurfaced this year?
Yes, Commissioner. For this contract, we have 24 miles that we're going to be resurfacing.
And that's the LMIG and?
For the LMIG, it's going to be about 7.5 miles. And then for the SPLOST, it's going to be about 16.5 miles of resurfacing.
Just, you know, this is big for Henry County. You know, before when we resurfaced, we just went out there and we topped the roads, but most of these roads that we got here or they don't have any base up on them. So can you describe for the citizens what that process is, what we're trying to do to build these roads, and also the width of these roads, if all of them's going to be widened?
Correct, Commissioner. A lot of these roads are paved over dirt, or they have a very poor base, and that's why if we just go out there and just put 1.5 inches of asphalt, 5 years or less, we'll be back there resurfacing. So this process, what we do is we're going to crush the existing asphalt. After it's crushed, we're going to mix it with cement, and the cement is going to bond. It's going to give that strength for the base. After that, we'll be putting down about 3 inches of binder and then 1.5 inches of topping. So it will be a much stronger road, and it will last 12 to 15 years. There's some roads on the list that are less than 22 feet. Those that are less than that, we'll make sure we're widening to at least get 11-foot lanes, which is your normal width for a road per lane.
And once we do this process, we won't have to go in there and build this base. That base will be there. And you said 12 to 15 years of life. What would it be if we just went out there and resurfaced it?
If we resurface it the way they are today, we'll probably be back within 5 years, just because of the amount of traffic. And you know, you got alligator cracks, what we call alligators, which means there's so many cracks that, you know, you probably see pieces of asphalt off on the road. So if you just resurface on top of that, you're not fixing the problem. You're just patching it and you're just going to be spending more money later on.
Thank you. One more question, Chair.
As you know, many of the roads, especially on the north side of the county, are in terrible condition.
Yes, sir.
The question I have for you is, can you give us an idea of the timeline and how does ER Snell, how are they going to prioritize which projects are first?
Okay. The contract, we established 4 months duration, so everything will be done before the end of this year. We already have scheduled a pre-construction meeting for July 8th, which is Friday of the week of the 4th of July. So once we have the meeting, we'll have a pre-con, we'll know exactly which roads they'll be working on, and I can provide that schedule once I get it from them. At this time, I don't have a schedule, but I would imagine that they will start on one district, one area, and just try to accomplish all those roads within that area instead of jumping from north, south. They'll try to accommodate everything within an area.
And so, do you think they have the bandwidth to handle all this and get it done before the end of the year?
I think so. They're probably probably the second biggest company, asphalt and construction road company here in Georgia. So I feel comfortable that they can do it within that time. We do have liquidated damages, so if they don't finish on time, of course, if weather's good, we'll finish in 4 months. But if weather's, inclement weather is there, we'll have to allow them X amount of time for that. But I feel comfortable 4 months. That should be enough for them to do this.
Thank you.
Anybody got any comments or questions? If not, somebody move in that direction.
So move.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second, District 1. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. So move. Resolution awarding a bid for construction and utility relocation cost for the
Yes.
intersection improvement of Jodico Road and Oak Grove Road and Jodico Road. Mr. Romero.
Yes, Chairman. SPLUS 4 was approved by voters in November of 2013. Jodico Road at Oak Grove Road and Jodico Road at Daily Mill are approved District 3 SPLUS 4 projects. Seal bids were solicited through the purchasing department for the construction of the intersection improvements of both Jodico Road at Oak Grove and Jodico Road at Daily Mill. Bid number 16-56. 5 seal bids were received and reviewed. The lowest bid was $328,116.50 from CMES, Inc. Funding for construction is available within the project budget. Also, the estimated utility relocation cost from the Henry County Water Authority is $70,840.32. Funding for the utility relocation is available in the project budget as well. Staff recommends awarding the bid for construction of the intersection improvements to CMES, Inc. in the amount of the $328,116.50, and to award and also to approve Henry County Water Authority to do the utility relocation.
Anybody have any comments or questions? Not, somebody move in that direction?
Move to approve.
Have a motion, District 3. Second. Second, District 4. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign, so moved.
Chairman, may I ask Rocky a question?
Yes, sir.
Rocky, I know when we're talking about resurfacing East Lake, people may be confused. We're not doing all of East Lake Road. We're just doing from where the four-way stop is down to the roundabout.
Correct, Commissioner. We're actually starting right there by Airline Road. So it'll be from Airline Road east towards the roundabout. We'll stop right at the limits of the roundabout.
And we're actually going to widen that road as well.
Yes, sir, because it's narrow on that section. Yes, sir.
If you don't mind, I'd like to get a report from you on where we stand with the roundabout at East Lake.
Yes, Commissioner. We've finally completed all the utility relocation. So right now we're full-blown on the construction. All the stormwater drainage have been installed. Right now they're grading towards the for the roundabout itself. And we're looking around completion around October. If weather permits, I think we can probably finish a little bit earlier than that, but we're going to stay on the contractor to make sure that we finish on time by October or earlier than that.
Okay, could you also give me an update on the Lake Dow roundabout?
Yes, on the Lake Dow roundabout, we've completed the right-of-way on that. So we're looking to putting it out for bid, if not this week, next week. So the next step will be bidding it out. It takes about 4 weeks to advertise and receive the bids. So we'll probably be back in front of the board, hopefully, if not late August, first week of September, first meeting in September for the board to approve that construction for that project.
Okay, another project, 155 and Campground. Can you give me an update on that?
Yes, Commissioner. We've sent letters for right-of-way acquisition. We're going to start staking for right-of-way next week. So as soon as we stake it out, we'll have a right-of-way agent out there acquiring the right-of-way. And as soon as we acquire the right-of-way, we'll put it out for bid too. So it's not that many parcels. It's just adding a turning lane and improving that intersection. We're going to adjust the signal to be able to accommodate the turning lane on Campground towards 155.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Resolution approving the utility location agreement between Henry County and Georgia Power Company on Jodico Road at Black Hall.
Yes, Chairman. SPLUS 4 was approved by voters in November 2013. Jodico Road at Black Hole Road is a designated SPLUS 4 Priority 1 project. Due to the construction of Jodico Road at Black Hole Road, it will be necessary for Georgia Power to relocate a portion of its facilities. A utility relocation agreement between Henry County and Georgia Power is needed. The estimated cost to relocate Georgia Power Company facilities is $78,570. Georgia Power Company requests reimbursement for 100% of the actual relocation cost. Funding for the utility relocation is available in the project budget. Staff recommends approval of the utility relocation agreement between Henry County and the Georgia Power Company for the Jodico Road and Black Hole Road project.
Anybody got any comments, questions? Have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second, District 5. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. So moved.
Thank you.
May I ask you a quick question?
Yes, sir.
On this triple surface treatment down in District 1, how many roads have we got completed so far?
We have about 7 roads that we're working on the triple surface treatment. We've completed about 4 of them. We still have to do the final, what we call the fast black. It's just a final coating, but we've got 4 that have been completed, and we still got to work on 3 more. And we also have some on District 3, 2 roads that we're going to be doing as soon as we finish with District 1.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Stormwater resolution rescinding resolution 16-117 for authorization of $70,000 towards drainage issues impacting properties on McAllister Drive and Eagle Brook subdivision and Lester Mill Road. Ms. Tucker, good evening.
Good evening. On May 7th, 2016, the Board of Commissioners approved Resolution 16-117 and authorized $70,000 from stormwater funds towards a vegetated channel to alleviate drainage issues impacting various property owners on McAllister Drive and Lester Mill Road. The vegetated channel was to be designed to carry the 100-year storm event within the existing 20-foot drainage easement situated within the 40-foot undisturbed buffer at the rear of lots 308, 309, 310, 311, and 312 on McAllister Drive. According to Michael Elliott's hydrology study, the 100-year storm produces 164 CFS of stormwater runoff. A vegetated drainage channel designed to carry this flow would need to be approximately 153 feet wide, with a depth of 2 feet. Deeper channels were not considered due to the high water table in this area. As shown in Exhibit 1-1, this design extends well beyond the 20-foot drainage easement, requires removal of the entire 40-foot undisturbed buffer, and impacts the existing structures on several lots along McAllister Drive. This right here shows you an idea of how wide the channel would need to be if we designed a vegetated channel for the 100-year storm event. This width right here would be 153 feet wide. So the second option that we looked at was what could we fit within the 20-foot drainage easement. In order to stay within that easement, the vegetated channel dimensions would need to be 18 feet wide and a 2-foot deep. However, this channel would only accommodate 13 CFS, which is half of the 1-year storm event threshold of 26 CFS. So to stay within the blue area, hatched area, we would not even meet half of the 1-year storm event, where the design originally was to be a 100-year storm event. So we fall very much short of meeting that requirement. Grading for the vegetated channel would also require removal of approximately 1,000 cubic yards of soil, utilizing 100 dump trucks, and does not account for tree clearing or removal. Removal of trees within the 40-foot undisturbed buffer is in opposition to Section 5 of the Unified Land Development Code and contradicts green space initiatives and the Watershed Protection Plan for Henry County. Removal of the undisturbed buffers have widespread negative environmental impacts to all of Henry County and Metro Atlanta by reducing water quality, air quality, wildlife habitat, flora and fauna density and diversity, increases erosion, flooding, and overall heat island effects. Henry County Stormwater does not currently maintain stormwater structures on private property outside of dedicated easements or within private gated communities. According to the plat recorded on June 27, 2002 for the Phase 1 of Eagles Brook subdivision development, it clearly states that Henry County assumes no responsibility for the overflow or erosion of natural or artificial drains beyond the extent of street right-of-way, nor for the extension of culverts beyond the point shown on the plat, and as required by the Henry County subdivision ordinance. So here is the statement referenced. So Stormwater recommends the board rescind Resolution 16-117 for authorization of the $70,000 towards drainage issues impacting properties on McAllister Drive and Eagles Brook subdivision and Lester Mill Road, as this issue is considered a private property civil matter that falls outside of Henry County Stormwater Management's current extent of service. Furthermore, Stormwater recommends no stormwater management funds be utilized in this matter, and that the 40-foot undisturbed buffer remains protected in support of green space initiatives in the Watershed Protection Plan. Thank you. Does anyone
Anybody got
have
any questions or comments? I'll yield the floor to District 2.
I know we're going to, because we have some concerned citizens in the audience and we want to provide them a chance to express their concern, but I wanted to kind of add some thoughts to this, is that I think staff has been very consistent and good on this, and the fact that they have, from the beginning, told a cautionary tale of not getting involved in this thing. I mean, and that's no fault of you guys, and you know, it's one of those things where I think I will take the responsibility of the fact that I recognize that this was a very complex issue. I mean, as we've heard, we had multiple parties, different subdivisions. You know, we had Eagles Brook, we had the individuals that live on Lester Mill, we also had Bill Gardner Parkway. We had 35 acres of outside water coming down through this area. Obviously, that's a lot of water coming through there. And then we had an undisturbed buffer, which I think, as we've heard from an environmental standpoint, as well as from the will of the individuals that live near that area, that is paramount. We need to respect that. I feel I have great hesitation to just yank this money back from the citizens and say that we found a we found a way out. And truthfully, it's not a way out because you guys have been consistent. Like I said, the county attorney, the county manager, and then our stormwater director has all been that this is a matter. And like I said, I kind of still pushed because I recognize this is a stronger issue just because of the complexity of it. But I still, just personally speaking as the District 2 Commissioner, I look at this as a welfare type issue for the public, is that I recognize that we need to just be facilitators and not the one that drives this thing completely. But I do not want to take away that $70,000 from my citizens. I think that we have to be part of this solution. I noticed also on the plat that it talked about the HOA. We have an engineer with Moore Bass, who was the original engineer, that maybe we could, that the homeowners as well as the HOA could collaborate with, and then we could still be somewhat of a funding source. That's me as an individual commissioner throwing out some ideas, and then I wanted to give the citizens a chance to speak about it. And I did want to address, because I think that last time where the mistake was made, that we never addressed the option C, or I think it was option C, which is the one that staff recommended, which was acquiring 2 lots. And it just kind of was, I think to the citizens, they felt like it was glossed over and it wasn't addressed. And I wanted to make sure we doubled back and addressed what happened with those 2 lots, is that we did all agree that that looked like a very viable option when we were able to use what the tax valuation is of those properties. Because, as you know, that's a very conservative number, but the tax valuation is much different than the market that when you start talking, and I talked to the parties that own those lots, and, and they were very, very forthcoming that they wanted to be part of the solution, but they also felt that they had carry costs, they had property taxes, they had their original the price they acquired it at back in 2007. So the cost of those 2 lots quickly exploded above $135,000. And then we also had 2 other big issues. Who was going to take over the annual HOA fees? Because there is a decent size homeowners association fee associated to both of these lots. And then also, it's not in the best practice of the county to take lots off of our tax digest. So those things kind of came to light as we were going through the scenarios from the time that the staff report came out to when we actually had the meeting where this was all decided. And I just wanted the citizens to know that, so they didn't think that something was just glossed over and that the perfect solution was those 2 lots when the money was never there for those 2 lots, as well as the ongoing carry cost. So that's my sharing. Like I said, I'm willing to make the motion to allow the citizens, because I know this is not a public comment section, or a public hearing, but I have no problem giving our citizens a chance, especially this is as I wrote in an email earlier this week, this is their primary residence. It's probably their most valuable asset. It provides shelter and safety for them. So I think it's very important that we give these people a voice to speak about it.
Before we move in that direction, I'm in favor of that too. I think we ought to give the board an opportunity to make comments now if they want to.
Sure.
Before we get to, okay.
So I make the motion to allow the public to speak.
Okay. They have a second? Okay, does anybody want to, the chair will limit it to 10 minutes if that's okay with y'all. Okay, we have a motion to hear the citizens for 10 minutes. That's not 10 minutes each, it's 10 minutes total. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Before we hear the citizens, I'm going to make a statement that we are basically, I've been in the political arena for like 40 years. I've never seen anything so bizarre as this right here. There's no winners in this. It's going to take somebody that's smarter than us, uniquely qualified to fix this. Okay, you look at this. The Henry County Building Department approved the final plat back when Eagle Brooks was designed. If you look at the language on the plat, it indicates that the drainage easements on the sides is 20 feet, so that would be 10 foot off of each property line. It also says that the drainage easements on the back of the lots would be 20 feet. So obviously, internally within the subdivision, that would be 10 foot on either side of the property line. Well, the dilemma is the lots in question here backs up to private property of people that own property that live on Lester Mill Road. Okay, so consequently, you have to accept the fact that the 20-foot drainage easement comes off of the back of their property line inward. That sounds easy, except in the final plat, it was approved that across the back of all these lots, that's contiguous to Lester Mill, is a 40-foot undisturbed buffer. Undisturbed means you really can't walk on it. Okay, so now we've got 35 or 40 acres, we know, that's draining across this property. Buying the lots, in my opinion, won't fix it because we got a bottleneck. We got a dam right there at the house that's built next to the Normans. It's got a pipe, and which somebody would have to address that. So I think that an issue is stormwater. Council said we shouldn't be spending stormwater, and that's a good advice, I suppose. But then again, the people in Eagle Brooks pay the yearly stormwater fee, and it's like $39 or $40 a year. Okay, it's a gated community. Now, the deal is, if I'm also in favor not to rescind the 70,000, because I think we have a dog in this hunt because we already obligated. Now, had I had all this information on the final plats that the homeowners association was going to accept all the drainage easement, which is out of the ordinary, I might have a different approach, but we have to take where we are now, and I'm going to tell you that Henry County has got to be part of the solution. So having said that, any other commissioner like to make a comment? If not, I'll open the floor up for 10 minutes, if you would. Come to the podium, state your name, and the 10 minutes is for the total people that have issues, so just keep in mind you got people that like to speak behind you.
Good evening. My name is Joe Norman. I live at 1266 McAllister Drive. I know that Chairman Smith and Mr. Preston are well familiar with what's going on here. I don't know about what happened back in 2002 and all that stuff, but I do know that in September and October this past year, we were living the dream in our dream home. And we had no problems. We had no problems. When it would rain, water would run through our backyard. Commissioner Preston put a picture up here the last time we were here and showed a picture of the water running through our backyard. It ran through our backyard. The builders that built the house next door to me came out and looked at the property that they bought, and they looked at my property. And that wasn't his first day at the rodeo. He knew exactly what he was looking at. He knew exactly what was going to happen when he built that lot, and he did it. And in order for him to do it, he had to have a permit from you guys to do it. And after he did it, your building inspectors came out and wrote a correction notice for him to fix what he had done. I guess he thought it was not correct. Now, I've asked several times about that correction notice, why it wasn't taken care of. How did he get a certificate of occupancy when an outstanding correction notice? The response I got back from Mr. Preston via Mr. Patterson is that the simple fact of having an engineer study that and come up with a solution was all it took to get rid of those correction notices and get a certificate of occupancy. Is that all it takes to fix something here with something like that? I say I'm going to do it, and that's all it takes? I'm not held responsible for actually executing the plan? I haven't had anyone able to answer that question for me yet. The county should not have allowed this to happen. There should not have been a house built on that lot. And the two lots next to it should not ever have houses built on them either. My home has been flooded. I've had water in my basement. And I never had anything even close to that before. I hold the builders responsible. I hold the county responsible because you knew what they were doing and you let them do it anyway. And I hold our HOA responsible because they knew that there were rules that builders were supposed to be held to in order to build houses in that subdivision, and they let them get away with doing it without abiding by their rules. And I've got correspondences here with the HOA declarant. I've gotten everything documented in text messages and going back and forth, and I cannot express to you enough how much that my family appreciates you guys stepping up to the plate and putting the $70,000 out here for us to use to fix this. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I think there should be a way to get our HOA and the two builders to get involved in this thing and get it fixed. Because again, let me be very clear about this. My family and Debbie Loving did nothing to bring this on to us. We did absolutely nothing except live and pay taxes. I pay taxes in my gated community, and I pay stormwater fees in my gated community. I think I'm entitled to get something for that. I just want the people who did this and caused this in my home to be held responsible for it and accountable, and not be let off the hook because they did an engineering study. No solution was executed. And I can't understand how that happened. I'll let other people have a chance. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Debbie Loving. I live at 830 Lester Mill Road. And in all this, let's just be honest, because this should have never happened. These lots should have never been approved for development. Mr. Smith said it best when he said there were many oversights and mistakes in the review and approval of the Eagles Brook subdivision. We did not have a problem with flooding and water drainage until the builders were permitted to redirect surface waters in violation of the law. The only effective solution to this problem is the purchase of lots 309 and 310 and regrading 309 and revegetating lot 309. That is exactly what the qualified and competent engineers employed with the Henry County Stormwater Management have recommended. I'm sure the HOA would waive whatever fees that the county is worried about in light of the fact they have culpability in this as well. But that is the only, any other thing is going to be a short-term fix. There wouldn't be future maintenance when you purchase the lots. The 40-foot undisturbed buffer would be protected in perpetuity, and it would further the initiatives to preserve the green space as part of the watershed protection plan. If Henry County is willing to step up and do the right thing to rectify this problem, if not, it's going to inevitably continue to occur. The builders are going to continue to redirect the natural flow of surface waters, and the county's allowing it to happen. There is no other fix. We've had engineers out there. There is no other fix than the purchase of those lots and letting the water go where it went initially before this regrading and water damage started occurring. I've questioned, and I didn't get an answer to this before, but if the lots are not purchased, I question who is going to be in charge of the $70,000. Who is going to facilitate this? Is there going to be a neutral party that's going to consider all of the affected homeowners? Who's going to be tasked with construction? The same builders who created this problem? Who's going to benefit from the 100 truckloads of dirt that they take out of a 20-foot wide ditch? The builders who need dirt for build up their houses? There was a reason Mr. Strain on lot 308 built his house up 4 feet. There was a reason he put in an improperly placed pipe to redirect the surface water. These lots are going to continue to flood, and they're pushing all that flooding off onto Lester Mill and the residents that did nothing to deserve this. And we're having to fight to protect our properties. I chose not to live in a subdivision. I've been advocating for preserving the 40-foot undisturbed buffer. The residents on Lester Mill and Bill Gardner Parkway support what I'm trying to do. And they have signed a petition along with me, which if you're willing to look at that is a petition to preserve the 40-foot undisturbed buffer. Because we do not want a 20-foot wide ditch. I certainly do not want a 20-foot wide dirt ditch along the side of my property. The only thing that's going to do is contain stagnant water. What starts out as 2 feet deep, all of a sudden will be 4 feet deep, 8 feet deep every time it rains. It's going to continue to erode. We're going to have mosquitoes and other disease-carrying insects, snakes, and just stagnant water. That's not safety. That's a liability, and I don't want it near my property. Did you want the petition?
A petition?
Yes.
Yeah, give it to the clerk, please.
I'm sorry?
The clerk. Give it to the clerk. The record keeper. Anybody else like to speak for 2 minutes and 20 seconds?
I don't know if you can see this. My name is Ed Tony. I live at 894 Upper Woolsey Road. As you can tell, I definitely have a drainage problem that's coming from the county water. Now, I've endured this for many, many years. It's been coming across my yard. I've not said anything about it because I assumed that this was a private property. So therefore, I did not complain. But when I noticed that you fellows had approved a $70,000 for private property, then I felt like it is y'all's problem to fix this. And you had the stormwater people come out and look at it, and they agreed that it is a problem. So as you can see, I got a lake instead of a yard. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. I yield the floor to District 5. Clock stops.
Before we continue, there's another subdivision here, and they're representing District 2. Another subdivision here, and they're representing District 2, and there's a lot of them here. It's Crystal Lake subdivision. It's another gated subdivision, and they have the same issues there. And I understand that the folks in Eagle Brook, that they have some issues with water, but there are also other subdivisions in the county that have the same issue. So we go down this slope with Eagle Brook, we got to go down the same slope with Crystal Lake. And if there's anybody here from Crystal Lake that want to address after Mr. Morey, I think it would be a great idea to address the board.
Okay, thank you.
Larry Murray from Gloucester Drive. There's two things I think you guys need to consider. One is you can't impede water, storm water. In other words, if you're downstream from me, you cannot dam it up and back water on me. If you do, the county's got the right to go in and move that, because you can't dam up water on somebody else. That's against the law. It shouldn't take a lawyer to figure that out. The second thing is, in the 2000s, 2010s, I know this for a fact, a lot of builders and developers bought these lots for pennies on the dollar. Lots that were selling for $100,000 plus, all of a sudden sold for $20,000. Those builders and those developers should be the problem solver. We shouldn't be taking county tax money and solving their problem. If they have to donate those lots to the county, it's not right to take county money and spend it on private property. Let those builders and developers correct their problems. If you gave a CO on a 100-year or 500-year floodplain, you were wrong.
Does anybody object giving 1 extra minute?
Sure.
Okay, we just extended it by 1 extra minute. Mr. Morey? Yes. We have just extended it to 1 minute. Okay. Does anybody want to speak for a minute? We've already got it approved. Okay. Okay. Time has expired. We've got several options here. One is, if you want to rescind it, you would take a motion to rescind the resolution 1617, or if you've done nothing, resolution 117 would stay intact. So I'll yield the floor to District 4.
Ms. Tucker, you come back up, please. I just want to go over a few points real quick. Would you discuss what the stormwater fee is for, why we assess the stormwater fee?
Sure. So the stormwater fee is basically a permit that the Henry County Stormwater holds for all of Henry County property owners. It's similar to a driving permit. In order to get on public roads, you need a permit to get on public roads. When we develop properties, we create more water. We increase the amount of water. In order for that water to come off private property and enter public waterways, state waters, the federal government said the local government will hold the permit instead of the individual property owners. So that is what the fee pays for. The fee pays for the county holding the permit and fulfilling permit requirements, so that individual property owners don't have to have a permit.
Now, it's the MS4, is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that mandated by the state?
I'm sorry?
Is that mandated by the state?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. Would you mind putting the final plat back up here again?
Sure.
And here's the rub, and here's what I want everybody to see. On the final plat, and this is original final plat from 2003, is that correct?
That is correct.
On the original final plat, it actually stipulates that all drainage issues are not subject to be taken care of by Henry County. And, you know, I have to commend the second district commissioner, and really, I have to commend all the commissioners. Every commissioner up here, if you call one of our commissioners, they will try to help you. Everyone up here. They really want to help the public. That's why we're here. But here we have a case that is in black and white, that it is not our responsibility. Now, some other things came up as soon as this was done. We did have other people come forward. I know I have a subdivision, much like Commissioner Holmes was talking about. I have several subdivisions in my district that have some pretty serious issues. I had one gentleman call me out, and his pool was 8 inches deep in silt in his backyard. And I want to help him. I really do. I want to help him. But it is a private matter. It is a civil matter. You know, I did hear the gentleman, he talked about that the drainage was fine for 10 years. And then the builder came in and started building beside him. That's a builder issue. That's not a county issue. We permit, we do not do design. There's two different things. And I think everybody misunderstands what permitting is. Next thing I wanted to point out, when you were doing your research, and we talked about it, the ditch in the back was 145 feet wide. Not 20 feet wide, 145 feet. That's not going to work. So with that, does anybody else have any comments?
I don't.
At this time, I'm going to make a recommendation that we rescind Resolution 16-117.
Have a motion to rescind Resolution 1617. Any further discussion? Any second? Second. Have a second from District 3. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand, right hand. All opposed, raise your right hand. I think it was 3-3, right? Okay. Unless somebody wants to offer something, an alternative, it's not rescinded. So, having said that, does anybody have an alternate? Okay, having said that, I'm going to take an executive privilege here, and I'm going to recess for 5 minutes for obvious reasons. Get ready, because we got 4 zonings coming up, and it's going to be lengthy. So I'm going to take 5 minutes, and we'll be back at 8:20.